What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. A very happy Thursday to Jason Pogwis, Mark Buckholtz, Farzad, Mark Thomas, everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. I see you, Dominic, Second Best, and Judah Baker. Hit the like button if you could. We have a great day full of a lot of picks for you with our A team for sure. But let's take a look at what we did yesterday. It's a losing record. We lost the Atalanta. Leverkusen, both teams to score, and Bayer Leverkusen, that kind of threw us off track. But Martin Green has been very good on the year. 2-4-1 is not where we want to be. Did push. Oh, actually, the Orioles' first 5 money line won. That's not a push. Okay, so we're 3-4 as opposed to 2-4-1. So that's not as bad as I originally thought. Either way, we got to do better than 3-4, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to do that with the stars of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned the A-team. Well, how about Matt Snyder, Mike McClure, and Propstarz? A-team indeed. I'm very excited. We got a lot of picks to give out, including a SportsLine pick. Maybe we'll throw in a little bit of hockey for you. But before we get to official picks, Mike McClure, I want to ask you your reaction to the Mavericks Minnesota Timberwolves game. We talked about this yesterday with you and Tim Doyle, and your reaction was, too many points. I'm taking Dallas. Any surprises? I know you were headed that Dallas way yesterday, but any surprises in terms of how that game ended up last night?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the box score, that's a little surprising. I believe the Wolves made 12 more threes than Dallas, and Dallas had 3 more turnovers. So they lost the 3-point shooting battle by double digits and had more turnovers and still won the game on the road. That's got to be a little bit concerning. But I think the story is clearly Kyrie Irving was incredibly aggressive offensively, and that is what the Mavs need. That took a lot of pressure off of Luka in the earlier stages of the game, which really allowed him to be, in my opinion, in great shape to finish the game. And if this team is within 2 to 3 possessions in a fourth quarter, they're going to be tough to beat just because of how good Luka is in those situations. So if you're Minnesota, yes, I think you're a little concerned considering you just lost while the Mavs shot 24% from 3.
Yeah, that would be concerning. Propstarz, I've been on Minnesota this entire playoffs. I'm a little concerned as well. Do you think there's any, we don't have the odds up right now, but do you think there's any value in maybe looking at Minnesota right now down 1-0, or would you be on the Dallas side of things now that they're up 1-0?
I mean, if Minnesota has proven anything, it's that their resiliency. I probably underrated a little bit Minnesota coming into this game, potentially having a letdown spot, considering they upset the reigning champions in the previous round in the fashion that they did, coming back from 20 points deficit in a game 7. I think it was kind of natural in hindsight that there would have been a little bit of a letdown after that. But this Dallas team is obviously very competitive. They're very good offensively, defensively. Mike mentioned Kyrie Irving had a massive performance. Luka looks healthier than he has at any stage of the playoffs. This Mavericks team was the best team down the stretch post All-Star break. And they've just played better and better as the postseason has progressed here. I think these are 2 evenly matched teams. I expected the series to likely go at least 6 or 7 games. So, yeah, no surprise that the game was competitive and Dallas was able to eke out a win.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this series for sure. And Sniper, I'm looking forward to your 2 official picks. But let me ask you something, because a lot of people in the Northeast have just noticed that in New York, there's just been a ton of rain that has dumped on this Yankees game that's supposed to start in 2.5 hours. Listen, we always got to think of rain out implications when it comes to games, but we were talking pre-show and you had an interesting take on Seattle, New York today. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, and as Mike pointed out, that the weather's going to clear up. There's probably going to be a delay, maybe around 2 hours or something like that. However, it's awfully tough to match up, this being the final game of the series. So it's not like they can say, oh, let's play a doubleheader tomorrow. It's awfully tough to match back up teams, finding a common off day that makes sense with travel, especially when you have Seattle all the way across the country to New York. It's going to be tough to find a common off day where the Mariners are in the area where they can play in New York moving forward. So they're going to do absolutely everything they can to get this game in today. It's good that it's a day game, so you can delay it a few hours and it doesn't really mess up travel for either team. Sorry, I didn't look ahead to where they're going, but with the Mariners, I always assume it's a long way. Even if they have to hold them around for a night game, they're going to do that because they're going to do everything they can to get this game in. They're both playoff contenders. at this point in the season, which they'll try to get everybody's in, but it makes it easier to say we need to stay here all night if we have to, when they both look like they're going to be in the playoff picture.
Absolutely. And by the way, before you give out your official picks, and by the way, I think that's a really interesting take when it comes to these teams on, different coasts and scheduling issues that might come in. Like you do have to factor that in when you're talking about canceling a game, because when are you going to reschedule that? Those travel plans.
And sometimes you'll see teams end up with 161 games played. But a lot of times what happens is it's so late in the season, they didn't have time to make it up, and the game didn't end up having playoff implications anyway. So they're like, okay, we're okay to get by with that. But this early in the season, especially with two teams look like they're going to be in it, they can't chance having one fewer game and having to make it up the day after the season ends.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything they can to get it in today.
All right, well, Sniper, let's get into a couple of official picks in Major League Baseball. But before you go, I do want to wish a happy birthday to Jay Metz. He's in the chat, and I see almost the entire chat has already said happy birthday to him. So we as a community, as a group, say happy birthday to you as well. All right, Sniper, the only way to wish Jay Metz a true happy birthday, no pressure, is to go 2-0 in Major League Baseball today.
Well, let's start with Mr. Skeens. Paul Skeens already taken the baseball world by fire. He hit the over on a strikeout prop in game one, even though there were some game one jitters there. Even his general manager and his manager said it was his first game. We felt like there was too much adrenaline there. That's why his command was all over the place. Even when he was throwing strikes, he was missing spots. Second time out against the Cubs, no such jitters. 6 no-hit innings, went well over his strikeout prop. He has 18 strikeouts now in just 2 starts. Found this on DraftKings, 7.5 strikeouts at plus money. So I believe he's going to go over this. The Giants are not a high volume strikeout team, but they still strike out 21.1% of the time, which is a little more than one out of every 5 batters, but that's not against Paul Skeens. That's against everybody. And his stuff is so ridiculous. 99.7 mile per hour fastball on average right now. His sinker is amazing. His slider hasn't been that good yet, but if that starts working, it's going to make him even more ridiculous. And again, we're talking about somebody that made the Cubs look absolutely stupid last time out. Keep in mind, I always talk about it's harder to hit somebody when you've never seen them before. It's a little bit easier when you just saw them. That last outing against the Cubs was the second time they saw him in less than a week, and he still made them look that stupid. The Giants have never seen him before, and keep in mind, the Giants and Pirates are in different spring training states. The Pirates are in Florida, the Giants are in Arizona, so they didn't see him in spring training. AAA Pirates affiliate is Indianapolis. That's in a totally different AAA league than the Giants affiliate, which is all the way out west. So nobody saw him in AAA. They have not seen him. So he's going to make them look absolutely silly, at least the first time through the order. But I expect also the second time we should be easily over 7.5 strikeouts, even though it's a high number. Also, we just talked about how I was going to do a Yankees pick. I'm going to be on Aaron Judge over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. There's juice on this, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal because Judge is on such a heater right now. In his last 17 games, he's hitting .414 with a 1,000 slugging percentage in his last 17, 10 doubles, 8 RBIs in his last 17 games. Hits plus runs plus RBIs in those last 17, 59 if you add it together. But remember how Judge was, how bad he was to start the season. Terrible for the first 2 or 3 weeks in April. Even if we went all year, hits plus runs plus RBIs, it equals 115. That's 2.25 per game, well over the 1.5 we need. And again, that's even including those 3 weeks where he was awful and it seemed like he was never going to get a hit again. Facing Luis Castillo of the Mariners. He's a good pitcher, but he hasn't been amazing for a few years. Judge in his career against Castillo, 2 for 6 with 3 walks. Also, Juan Soto hits in front of Judge. He's going to be on base. He's 7 for on base 7 out of 13 times that he's seen Castillo in his career. So I expect Soto to be on for Judge. Looking for maybe a Judge home run. That would get us home.
I mean, Sniper, that was absolutely incredible. I thought you could not outdo yourself with the Skeens analysis, and then you went full Aaron Judge analysis on us. That was extremely impressive. Appreciate the 2 picks. Let's cash those for Jay Metz, and let's cash this SportsLine pick. We're going to the NHL, and we're taking the Oilers Stars under 6.5 at -138. That's at 8:30 tonight. Again, Oilers Stars under Western Conference Finals -138, under 6.5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make Sniper's bets, or if you want to make that SportsLine bet, or the bet that Proppy, Mike McClure, and myself are about to give out, Well, I know where you can do it. It's BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to those proppy picks in the NBA and MLB. We got a golf pick from Mike McClure, and we got a baseball pick from me, and we're going to hear all of that right after this message from our partners.
Champions League final. This is as big as it gets. The kings of the Champions League. Dortmund are into the final.
Ain't gonna stop me now. This is the final round.
All his dreams coming true.
Dortmund versus Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League final on CBS and streaming live on Paramount+.
We are back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. Fat Stack says Kyrie took it personal last night. He keeps that attitude, and the Mavericks will be in the finals. I can't listen. I like Minnesota, but I can't argue with that take. Very impressive stuff from the Mavericks last night. And Proppy, you've got a basketball pick in the Eastern Conference Finals. But before you give that out, you've got a pick in this Yankees game that we talked about that may be delayed a little bit, but likely not a washout. Let's talk about those two picks.
All right, Sia. Yeah, I'm going to start by fading Luis Gil, going under 7.5 strikeouts, coming off of that fantastic 14 strikeout performance against the White Sox. However, if we look under the hood at Luis Gil's underlying metrics, it screams regression candidate to me. The swinging strike percentage, his CSW percentage, they're below his career averages, not overly impressive. So I believe that he'll ultimately regress coming off of this big performance against the White Sox as well, facing Seattle, who obviously leads the league in strikeouts. But I just think so much has to go right for 8 strikeouts, especially considering under in 6 of 9 starts this season. And again, coming off that big performance just yells regression to me. So going to go under for Luis Gil, 7.5 Ks. And then moving over to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 2, I'm going to fade Al Horford, Big Al, under 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. If we look at Big Al, he's coming off of playing 40 minutes. That is the most minutes he has played all season long. You have to go back to March of last year to find when he last played 40 minutes at 37 years young. Shout out to the 37-year-olds out there. He's just not the same player that he was. They're relying heavily on Big Al with Kristaps Porzingis on the shelf here. Al just hasn't been very effective from a production standpoint, pretty much getting the most out of him, but I believe he's a little bit worn down here. I believe Missoula is going to be careful with Big Al's minutes in this matchup. Also, if you look at the mean versus median average, he's averaging just 17 points, rebounds, and assists outside of 144 PRA game against the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 6 of that series. Just averaging 17 points, rebounds, and assists as a starter without Kristaps Porzingis. So this is a very big number for Al, which is likely inflated by that outlier performance against Cleveland and then the 40-minute performance against the Pacers in Game 1. So I think this is a really good spot to fade Al Horford. These playoff lines in the NBA are incredibly sharp, but this one, to me, I would play regardless of if I had to give out a pick. So love this spot to fade Al Horford, under 21.5 PRA, and then I'm going to fade the regression candidate, Luis Gil, under 7.5 strikeouts this morning.
All right. I absolutely love it. And by the way, speaking of birthdays, nice professional transition to my pick because Zach Wheeler's birthday is in 7 days. May 30th, he turns 30, not 37, but he turns 34 years old. And that leads right into my pick. I'm going with the Phillies this afternoon. I really like this matchup, Zach Wheeler against Heaney. And the reality with Andrew Heaney, he hasn't been very good over the last few games. I mean, this entire season's been certainly a mixed bag, but over the last few games, allowing a lot of base runners, decent amount of earned runs. It's just not looking great. And when you're facing a Phillies team that is red hot in Philadelphia, especially considering the hard hit rate that we're seeing from Andrew Heaney, I just really like the Phillies in this spot. So the only way I could think to play this to get the juice down, this is a sniper special, is to get Zach Wheeler to record a win. Because if I'm taking the money line, it's like minus 200. If I'm taking first 5 minus a half, it's still like in that minus 140, minus 150 range. This is how I want to play it because I do think Andrew Heaney is going to get tagged on the front end of this game. And I think Zach Wheeler is going to cruise to a win. I think he's going to go deep into the game. I will say this, 2 starts ago, he slipped up against the Marlins. He was pretty bad, but he rebounded very nicely from that. And I don't think there's really any question at this point that the Phillies bats and this pitching scenario certainly better than the Texas Rangers as these two teams stand right now. So the best way to play this without giving or giving too much juice is to play Zach Wheeler to record a win -105. That is my baseball play. And now, Mike McClure, I don't know, do you have an NBA play? Do you have a baseball play? Or perhaps the Charles Schwab Challenge?
Yes, Sia, we're playing golf here today. I like Lucas Glover this week in general, but I like him in round one on a round prop. You can bet under 69.5. That means he has to shoot -1 or better is the number we're looking for. I think it's extremely obtainable despite the afternoon tee time for Lucas Glover. Now, this is a guy who has been awful with the putter throughout his career until last year when he made a putting change. He switched the putter. He's actually been really good since then, but he's always been one of the best ball strikers. He's extremely accurate off the tee. This is one course where driving distance absolutely does not matter at all. It is all about being accurate. It is all about the approach game and the around the green game, two areas that he really excels. I don't love a lot of the matchups because in this field, it's not the superstar field that we have. So when you typically see sportsbooks offering head-to-head matchups here, it's likely from golfers that are very similar in a lot of cases. So that's why I'm not playing him in head-to-heads, because I do like a few of the matchups that he's playing in. I like the other side of him a lot as well. So I like Lucas Glover here. Basically, we're betting on him to shoot -1 or better, just an extreme course fit. And I think that this is a track that Glover's really performed well at. I believe top 30 finishes in 3 of the last 4 trips here. I think he's off to a decent start here. Again, we don't need a first-round leader. We don't need really any exceptional performance. It's just a -1 round here. You can play this over on FanDuel. I know a lot of people are asking where to get this. There are a few sports books that do offer the round props. I went under 69.5 here for Lucas Glover.
All right. Absolutely love that. And by the way, I gave out a matchup yesterday. I gave it out a 3-ball yesterday on the show, just so everybody knows, in case you're not keeping track. There were through 7 holes. Aaron Ryan, Bo Hostler are both at +1, and Brandon Wu is at +2. Of course, we have Aaron Ryan that one, so I guess you could say he's tied for first, but this one is very early. We'll have to get some separation from Aaron Ryan between the other two. Oh, wow, the change of hat. And by the way, I will say this. I gave out 4 first-round leaders on the early wedge, and of course, in my SportsLine article, I will say it's super early. Like, I'm just saying it to say it, but Sepp Straka is 2 under through just a handful of holes in second place. So somebody to keep an eye on. He was one of my 4 first-round leaders. Sniper, any statements you want to make as you change hats and don the Indiana Pacers gear?
No, I'm just trying to forget about the end of game 1.
Real quick on that. That was one of the most embarrassing, turnover after turnover. I just want to ask you real quick before we get to the recap screen, what do you attribute that to? Because I don't want to put it all on coaching. I don't want to put it all on just young players not being in that spot a lot. It was really bad.
I have no idea on Halliburton just losing the ball. He just lost it. You wouldn't think nerves, but he's never been in this round before. Yeah, on the inbounds pass, Carlisle took the blame as well. He should have. If you take the time out to advance it to the other side of the court, then you have so many other options, and then trying to get it to Siakam, who's been terrible shooting free throws in the playoffs. Even though the last couple of games he's kind of got his mojo back, and he's running back toward the back base. Everything about that was terrible.
Yeah.
The shot itself, I believe Carlisle when he said that they were trying to foul, but when Brown caught the ball in the corner, if he fouled there, it was going to be a three shot foul. So I think Siakam kind of did the right thing by just being in his face and making sure not to foul. And it took a miracle shot. Basically every single thing that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Yeah. Jay Metz has something to say too on the other side. He said Tatum had an awful critical turnover at the end too. I think Jason Tatum's pretty bad in the clutch personally. I mean, it just overall, I don't trust him in the clutch.
For me, it mostly came down to the inbounds pass.
Yes.
If you call timeout and you advance to the other side, as long as you get the ball in on that side of the court, game's over.
Propstarz, the line is +9, +9.5. I'm not asking you to make an official pick, but it still seems like too many points, right, for the Pacers to be getting?
I think this is a letdown spot for the Pacers, having lost game 1 in the fashion that they did. That's going to really sting, in my opinion. That was their best chance to win, maybe a game all series long. We'll see how they respond. They've been resilient throughout the playoffs, but that was a very difficult loss in my opinion.
Yeah, Anthony Marte says Brown greater than Tatum as a closer for the Celtics. 100% agree. LJ from H-Town says Pacers Boston first half over 113.5. Don't hate that, LJ from H-Town. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the recap screen. By the way, happy birthday to Steve Lochner tomorrow. Being here tomorrow, Steve, and everybody else to wish Steve a happy 30th birthday. And we're going to try to wish Jay Metz a happy birthday with a clean screen tomorrow. It starts with Matt Sniper. Paul Skeens over 7.5 Ks at plus 110. Aaron Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at minus 130. I've got Zach Wheeler to record a win at minus 105 this afternoon, early this afternoon. A lot of day baseball, folks. Mike McClure, Lucas Glover, round one under 69.5 at minus 110. Proppy, Luis Gil under 7.5 Ks at minus 130, and Al Horford under 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists at minus 125. Our sports line picks, we go to the NHL. We go to Western Conference Finals. Oilers Stars under 6.5 at minus 138. All right, well, Fat Stacks, you said it all. Great show, guys. Great show. Everyone in the chat, you make this show what it is. We're just a part of it. Big Cheesy says, good luck today, fam. And that's a great way to close the show. On behalf of Mike McClure, Propstarz, and of course, the Sniper. Don't forget about Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s behind the scenes. He is doing all the hard work. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Thursday. Let's roll this into Friday. We'll see you here, same time, same place. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.